Have you ever come across a chart or a claim suggesting that the average IQ of one country is higher or lower than another? These numbers, often presented as a measure of national intelligence, can be quite provocative. They lead to a simple but profound question: are some nations inherently smarter than others? Today, we're going to dive into the science behind these claims. We're not going to debate the numbers themselves, but instead, we're going to ask a more important question: what do these IQ tests actually measure, and what are the real reasons for the differences we see in average scores around the world? Disclaimer: this video is for informational purposes only. The concept of national IQ is a controversial topic in the scientific community, and many researchers argue that such comparisons are flawed and culturally biased. To understand the bigger picture, we need to start with the tool itself, the IQ test. An IQ test measures a very specific set of cognitive abilities, such as logical reasoning, problem solving, and spatial awareness. It was originally designed to predict academic performance in school. But here's the key point: these tests were developed in a specific cultural context, primarily in Western countries. The questions often rely on knowledge and patterns that are more familiar to people in Western educational systems. For a child from a rural village in India, a question about a specific type of car or a geometric shape found in Western architecture might be completely foreign, even if they are incredibly intelligent in their own context. So, the tests aren't a universal measure of intelligence. They are a measure of a certain type of intelligence, which can be influenced by cultural and educational biases. If the tests aren't the whole story, what is? The overwhelming evidence from decades of research points to one thing: environmental and socio-economic factors. Let's break them down. Nutrition and health. The first few years of a child's life are crucial for brain development. If a population faces high rates of malnutrition or a lack of access to clean water and healthcare, a child's cognitive development can be hindered, impacting their performance on any standardized test. Education. Access to quality schooling makes a massive difference. A child who has access to a good teacher, books, and a stimulating learning environment from an early age will naturally develop the skills that are tested on an IQ exam. In many developing nations, the quality and consistency of education can be a major challenge. Poverty and stress. The cognitive burden of poverty is immense. When a person is constantly worried about their next meal or a safe place to sleep, their brain is in a state of chronic stress. This stress can negatively affect attention, memory, and problem-solving skills, all of which are measured on an IQ test. Test-taking culture. In many developed countries, standardized tests are a regular part of life from a young age. People are simply more familiar with the test format, the pressure, and the types of questions asked. This familiarity alone can lead to higher scores, separate from a person's underlying intelligence. We have a powerful piece of evidence that supports this argument. It's called the Flynn effect. Named after political scientist James Flynn, this is the observation that average IQ scores have been steadily rising over time in many countries around the world. In some nations, the increase has been as much as 3 points per decade. This rise is not because people are inherently getting smarter. It's because of improvements in the very factors we just discussed: better nutrition, improved access to education, and greater exposure to abstract problem solving through technology and modern life. The Flynn effect shows us that IQ scores are a highly sensitive indicator of a society's development, not a fixed measure of its genetic potential. So, when you see a claim about the average IQ of a nation, remember this: the number is not the end of the story, but the beginning. It should prompt us to ask about the socio-economic conditions, the state of education, and the health of the population in that country. Intelligence is a vast and complex human trait that encompasses creativity, emotional intelligence, and wisdom. It cannot be reduced to a single number on a test. The true measure of a society's intelligence is in how it solves its biggest problems and how it uplifts all its people to reach their full potential.